Hey guys, welcome back again. Today we're throwing another oddball at you, kind of like how we did that 125. This is a little side project. I've been needing to work on it for quite a while, and we did get to bed and stuff on the square body, so we're gonna let it sit. My garage is gonna be open now with a little bit more room. Hopefully this thing don't take too long. We're gonna do a quick walk around and show you guys what I've seen so far just from pushing it in the garage. I haven't really looked over it, so we'll go through it together and hopefully we can get this spoiler going, so stay tuned. Alrighty guys, I don't know what we've gotten ourselves into, but we're going to dig into it and try to find out. Story behind this thing is, my wife is a hairstylist, and this was one of her clients that came through here. It was a family member of theirs, I think, that has passed away, and they was wanting to keep this spoiler for sentimental reasons. It was non-running. He took the carburetor off and cleaned it, did some other things to it, and did not have any success. And I do know in the process of working on it, he said the starter quit engaging, so the electric start wasn't working. It does have pull start backup, so we're going to have to get into that and start pulling on it. Other than that, I don't know nothing about it. I don't know what size this is. I do know it's 2-stroke. I know it's air-cooled, 4-wheel drive. We're just going to dig in and see. We'll just go through all the basics, check for compression, fuel, fire. Hopefully we can get this thing running, and then from there we will see what they want to do with it, because it's got potential. The tires are good, the plastic's not bad, all the bearings seem tight, suspension is blown front and back. I do know that the brakes are also blown, and I believe this is the only brakes it's got is one hand brake. I looked down there on the running boards, there's no foot brakes, so definitely seems important to try to get them working, but main goal is, let's get this thing running, and then we'll go from there and see what all they want to do with it. So let's dig on into it. Things are not looking too promising for this old four-wheeler. Started digging into it. Air filter was already off of it and everything. Got to looking at the air box here. The intake boot here has seen better days. Definitely not good. Don't want to be getting no dust in the motor. And also the housing is cracked itself. So definitely not good. I don't know if you could still get a part like that. That's something we'll have to put on the list to check. Fuel tank was out of fuel. Oil reservoir was out of oil. Did blow through the petcock. It was nice and free, so fuel should flow from the tank. Need to open it up and see how nasty it is in there. Next thing I did is, once I got access with that tank off, I got in here. I got my spark tester hooked up. And let me see if I can get you guys an angle in here. As you guys see, we do not have no spark, so we're going to dig into that first, try to find out why we're not getting spark. It feels like it's got hecka good compression, so I don't really see the point of even checking it, because it's got enough, it should run. Dig into the spark issue, we'll figure it out, give it a carb clean, and then go from there. Alrighty guys, I was piddling around, I cleaned up my ground connections there, put the coil back on, still no luck with the spark, so now I got it up on the workbench and let's see what we got. So I've been piddling with this just a little bit, and I'm going to show you guys what I've came up with here. So what we got on this coil is, here's our grounding tab that goes to the frame, that's why I cleaned it, I wanted a good ground, and then this is your incoming from your ignition module. So if you test it from here to here, get the meter up where you guys can see it, hopefully. There it is. That's exactly what you're supposed to get. That's within spec. Now the next test is to go from where your outgoing plug wire is to your incoming here, and I am getting diddly squat between there. I put the meter in that, absolutely nothing. I thought maybe it was the bad plug wire at first, because this was plugged on. I was testing from the end here, was not getting nothing. Pulled this off, thought maybe it had corroded in here, maybe came apart. Tested, absolutely nothing. So I am about 99% sure it is this coil that is bad. But the good news is, I went to order this, $40 for 80 bucks I can get a new coil, ignition module, and a stator all together. Because I took it apart here for the stator, did some resistance checks. It actually turned out okay. I believe, if you can believe the specs you get off the internet. You know, I don't have an owner's manual for this. I'm just going off whatever I can find. There's really no way to test your module up there, so I'll have all three parts. I'll put the coil on. I do believe it's going to fix it. If that does not fix it, I will be able to replace these parts as I go until I find the problem. But $80, you can't beat it, and we'll be able to find the problem pretty soon. So while we're waiting for parts, I did hook the compression tester up. I'm going to set you guys up on a tripod, and we'll see what kind of compression this motor has. Shoo-wee! Looks like we're up to 175. I thought it had good compression, so that is plenty enough for this motor to run. Happy with that. Probably going to go ahead and pull this carburetor off, go through it. It looks like this thing's been sitting for quite a while. So the parts come in, we'll have a clean carburetor, got compression, so give me fuel, give me fire, and this thing should fire up. So let's keep on moving. Well, nothing too eventful here with the carburetor. Got it all taken apart. This sleeve here that the main jet goes into was actually slid down into the throat of the carburetor, which was weird. As I was loosening it, I could barely get anything on the main jet. This was actually spinning. I noticed there's a little tab there and that's pushed out a little bit, and that should recess into here. That'll pick it up. So I'm going to put a couple ping marks with the punch around that where it's pressed in, make it fit a little tighter, push that back in to hold it from spinning. Should take care of my problem, but all the jets were super clean, float bowls super clean, floats work nice and free. Needle and seat was working. I was blowing through it with my mouth a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and get this thing cleaned up, blow through all the passageways, and no point of you guys seeing me reassemble this. I mean, everybody knows how a carburetor goes together, so next time you see me, we'll be putting a coil on this foiler and hopefully get this thing started. Now, I got my carburetor moved off where I was working on it. This is the kit I bought. It was all OEM, good working parts, supposed to be in good working condition. Changed the coil first thing because I believed that was bad. Still was getting funny ohms readings with it. Put the new one on, did not fix my problem. Jumped to the next piece of the puzzle. I put the CDI box on it. This is the old one off the four-wheeler. Got the new one already installed. And you guys ain't gonna believe it, but we have excellent fire. So now we got good fire. We know we got the carburetor clean. We just did that a second ago. Got it back on there. Even put some nice new, oh, you can't see it from this side. Hold on, bear with me. There we go. Even got some nice new blue vent hoses on it. That's going to be at least 10 more horsepower. So now we know we got compression. We know we got fire. I'd say let's take that tank, check, make sure it ain't dirty. We might even put some fuel in it, slosh around, drain it out. Make sure the petcock's good on it. Put it back on. Verify we're getting fuel down to the carburetor. And then it should be time to fire this thing up, I believe. So I'm going to quit talking and try it. Now, it does not matter how in the world I hold this camera. I cannot get you guys in there with a light to show you what's in that tank. But this is the next best thing. That does not look good. Something I do not want to run through a nice, new, clean carburetor. So we're definitely going to try to wash this thing out, try to get it a little bit better. Because it's got a filter that came on it, but I don't know how good a shape it is. I blew through and it blew free, but probably needs another filter on, but we're gonna give it a whirl and try to get this tank cleaned out a little bit better. And I did get the foiler lifted up a little bit. The starter, the feller said, was out of it, and I wanted to make sure, I want to kind of piddle around with it a little bit, because trying to start this thing, I really don't want to pull start it. If I can hit a button, boy, that's going to be a lot better. So, gonna kind of hop back and forth. I'm going to get this cleaned up. Need help. I need somebody to hit the starter so I can test the solenoid, see if I'm getting power to it. So, that's the plan. I'm going to keep on moving. Alrighty guys, I had to step out of this garage for a solid 2 hours to let this thing air out. That thing was blowing so much smoke out, it was insane. What I think happened is the previous owner was trying to get it started, thought it was a fuel issue, and come to find out it was spark, so I think the whole crankcase was filled up with gas and oil from him cranking on it. Definitely something, as much smoke was coming out. That was bad. Good news is, I shut it off, it started back up. Bad news is, the fuel tank petcock was just pouring fuel out. That's why I got the drain pan under there. Thing's shot. Went to order a rebuild kit. I can get a new petcock for $14, so got a new one on the way. That'll fix that little problem. So while we're waiting, I decided to dig on into the electrical system, try to find out why this thing ain't starting, and I'll show you guys what I got. Okay guys, we'll start back here on the solenoid, just where I started at. I had a solid 12 volts coming into it. I checked my signal wire there, had no voltage coming in on it whenever I was pushing the button, which led me to follow the wiring harness. It was a red wire with a white stripe all the way up, and it's pretty neat. These old Polarises had all the wiring junctions back in here behind the headlight, which to me seems like a good idea. That's going to keep a lot of moisture out, you know, people splashing through mud and water. I am really shocked how much dirt and dust and everything's in there, but it is all dry. Anyway, followed the red and white wire up here into my junction, followed it out to my push button, ohmed it. I was doing good on it. Back down, I think it comes back on a brown wire. So I knew my switch was good and couldn't find out why I wasn't getting power up here. And I'd like to say I jumped onto the switch, but I thought back here for sure would be a fuse, and that would be my problem. You can actually see it back there. That was wrapped up. I thought there'd be a fuse in it. I cut it open, and it was not. It's some kind of little junction there. Getting 12 volt in, 12 volt out, so now I gotta cover that back up, which sent me back up here to the front, where I finally popped the key switch out, which was my problem. I was getting 12 volt up to it, was not getting 12 volt out. You can pop that apart. It had some copper contacts in there. They was a little bit corroded. I cleaned them up. So then I was getting my 12 volt out, thought everything would be good, plugged some wires together. Noticed the brake light back here was blinking, which made no sense to me why it was blinking until I realized that battery is just 100% junk. I had a trickle charger hooked up to it. The trickle charger was causing it to flash. I come up here, do the brake lever, get my brake light to go out. The battery just has no voltage. I can't do anything with the push button. Everything should be good now. I am going to order a key switch. That way you don't have any problems, because I did break the tabs getting that apart. But now for sure, I know I got power up to there. I replace that, I will have power, which I got power coming out now. But I'll replace it, I'll have power coming out. I know the switch is good. I went through the rest of the system. Everything should be good. So once that's in, then I'll be able to determine whether the solenoid's bad or not. I didn't have enough voltage to even jump it or anything. So that's where this thing stands at. I think we're gonna take a little break on it. We're going to let some parts come. Well guys, that's going to bring another one to a close. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I know we took a break for a while. Now we're kind of jumping around. It seems kind of unorganized, and you guys are right. It is very unorganized. We are going to get back to this truck. I have been driving it. Love it. The thing drives sweet. Just a few finishing up touches, get it done. But we're going to get that four-wheeler finished up. I got one more little project we got to knock out. Figured I'd drop a little bit of content, just something to kind of keep me busy and keep me posting regularly. But I want to shout out and thank everybody that's been sticking with me, been watching, all the nice comments I've been getting. So couldn't do this without you guys. I appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.